On the side of the Shrek Seven Devils, Ning Rongrong's dazzling light had already started to shine. In her right palm, there was now a seven-colored pagoda about a foot tall. The pagoda radiated a precious light, exuding an air of nobility. Ning Rongrong smiled serenely, looking like an ethereal fairy. The incantation of the auxiliary soul master resounded crisply from her mouth. The seven treasures have names. The first is strength. The seven treasures have names. The second is speed. The two soul rings circling around Ning Rongrong simultaneously rose and enveloped the seven treasures' glazed tile pagoda. 14 rays of colored light were released at once, enhancing herself and her 6 companions. Lightness and warmth spread through the bodies of the Shrek Seven Devils, instantly boosting their strength and agility by 30%. The seven treasures' glazed tile pagoda martial soul was well known by many. Seeing that their opponent had a seven treasures glazed tile pagoda soul master, the faces of the members of the Mad Battle team darkened immediately. Not to mention the unparalleled auxiliary effects the seven treasures glazed tile pagoda could provide, just the fact that she was from the seven treasures glazed tile sect was enough to make them wary. Attack. With the arrow on the string, it had to be released. The leader of the Mad Battle team, Kwang Shi, couldn't afford to hesitate any longer. Although he regretted provoking Dai Mubai earlier, he could only focus on winning the battle in front of him now. He thought that if they won, he wouldn't cripple his opponents as before, knowing that the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect was not someone they could afford to offend. Kwang Shi's martial soul was a rhinoceros. After releasing his martial soul, his body swelled, and his skin developed a thick keratin layer like armor, with the most significant change being a half-foot-long horn glowing brown-yellow on his head. With a loud shout, the white light of his 10-year soul ring surged, and he charged towards Dai Mubai with unstoppable momentum. The two soul masters beside Kwang Shi were also assault-type beast soul masters, possessing the same martial soul. They had double horns on their heads and a layer of white fur on their skin, clearly having a sheep martial soul. They charged in unison with Kwang Shi. As a team, coordination was crucial. The auxiliary soul master of the Mad Battle team increased their defense by 5% and attack by 10%. Compared to the seven treasures glazed tile pagoda's boost, the difference was vast. Otherwise, how could the seven treasures glazed tile pagoda be known as the top auxiliary martial soul? Behind Kwang Shi, two agility-type soul masters moved swiftly. Their martial souls were monkeys, covered in yellow fur. They quickly bypassed Dai Mubai's trio from the sides, targeting Ning Rongrong at the back. At the same time, the alluring girl with the top-notch soul rings also moved. She was a beast soul master too, occupying the central position in the team due to her strength and her role as a control-type soul master, like Tang San. Tang San was surprised to see that her beast martial soul was a spider. When she released her martial soul, Tang San noticed her immediately. Pink light covered her entire body, and her wavy long hair split into 8 strands, forming spider legs on both sides of her head. A spider web symbol appeared on her forehead, and her eyes turned pink. As her first soul ring lit up, she raised both hands, shooting spider silk from her palms into the air, quickly weaving a web. Seeing the opponent's control-type soul master was a spider, even Dai Mubai couldn't help but smile. The man-faced demon spider, a spider-type soul beast, was known as the Spider King. Without thinking, he knew her martial soul was naturally countered by theirs. Tang Sen coldly observed the situation and shouted, "Fatty, in the air, Phoenix Fire Line, release." Ma Hongjun was already prepared, spewing purple-red flames straight at the web in the air. At this moment, Tang San also moved. Dozens of blue-silver grass strands quickly extended from under his feet, not forward but to the sides, directly blocking the two agile monkey soul masters. Control type countering agility type was common knowledge among soul masters. Seeing the blue-silver grass swarming towards them, the two swift monkey soul masters were momentarily stalled. Tang San raised his hand, not looking at either side, and threw a green light from his palm with a wrist-flicking technique, aiming directly at the charging Kwang Shi. Kwang Shi saw the green light released by Tang San and, knowing Tang San was a control-type soul master, immediately activated his second soul ring. As his massive body surged forward, he swung both fists, a dazzling black light appearing on them. The two lights collided in mid-air, creating a giant black wave heading towards the yellow-green light from Tang San. Kwang Shi's combat experience was extensive. The black wave he unleashed aimed not only at Tang San's green light, but, if it broke through, it would target Dai Mubai next. But could he really stop the green light? Kwang Shi overlooked one thing. When Tang San released the green light, his third soul ring, a 1,000-year purple soul ring, lit up. The green light wasn't shattered by the black wave. Instead, it swayed in the black light's impact. At this moment, a blue silvergrass vine quietly extended at a tricky angle, touching the green light and redirecting it into the air, then back down. Kwang Shi, be careful. The alluring girl's face changed, shouting a warning. Her unfinished web had already been melted by Ma Hongjuan's evil fire, failing to serve any purpose. With Ning Rongrong's 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda's boost, the previously significant gap in soul power between the two sides had been substantially reduced. Ma Hongjuan's cannon-like attack fully utilized the power of his evil fire. Kwang Shi knew he had to be cautious, but speed was not his forte. The black light from his fists collided with Dai Mubai's second soul ring skill, White Tiger Light Wave. The black and white lights clashed with a loud boom. This time, Kwang Shi didn't gain the upper hand. Both he and Dai Mubai staggered slightly. The green light finally revealed its true form, a giant net descending from the sky, completely covering Kwang Shi's tall body. The web tightened, wrapping Kwang Shi firmly. With the web's double toughness, enhanced by blue silvergrass, Kwang Shi found it almost impossible to break free. A puff of smoke appeared with the web, releasing 2 kinds of potent toxins, corrosion and paralysis, starting to erode Kwang Shi's keratin layer. A good job, Xiao San. Dai Mubai, seeing Kwang Shi successfully controlled by Tang San, was instantly invigorated. He stomped his foot, shooting out like an arrow towards the sheep soul master on the left. Facing the opponent's charge, he didn't bother dodging, embodying the saying "a sheep into a tiger's mouth." The natural martial soul counter left the opponent deeply affected by Dai Mubai's aura. Xiao Wu flashed forward to meet the other sheep soul master, while Zhu Zhuqing accelerated, flanking from the side, ignoring the control-type soul master, and directly targeting the auxiliary soul master, Rui Pan. The battle fully unfolded. In the first clash, the Mad Battle team suffered a significant setback. Their main force, Kwang Shi, was trapped by Tang San's web, putting them at a disadvantage. At this moment, the Mad Battle team demonstrated their 7 consecutive victories' strength. In any Soul Master team, regardless of size, the control-type Soul Master was the core. The alluring girl, seeing Kwang Shi trapped, didn't panic. She quickly advanced towards Kwang Shi, shouting, "Ye twin monkeys, retreat, protect Rui Pan. Twin sheep, hold your ground." The 2 monkey soul masters, previously obstructed by Tang San's blue silvergrass, swiftly retreated to their side upon hearing her command, charging at Zhu Zhuqing. Kwang Shi, struggling violently, rolled on the ground. He tried to break free from Tang San's web, but the web's corrosive toxins rapidly eroded his keratin layer. Despite his strong defense, he couldn't resist the toxins. The outer keratin layer was corroded, and his struggle tightened the web further, trapping him deeper. The alluring girl was shocked by Tang San's instant web release, knowing his third soul ring came from a spider-type soul beast. With her spider martial soul, she had no confidence against such an opponent. Her goal was simple. First, remove the web from Kwang Shi. "Your opponent is me." Tang San's cold yet resolute voice sounded in the ears of the seductive girl. Blue silver grass surged forward, wrapping towards her body. He would never give the berserk rhinoceros a chance to recover his fighting strength. Dai Mubai faced the goat spirit master and had already gained an absolute advantage. Although his opponent's spirit power was not weaker than his, the advantage of his martial spirit was too great. In the face of his ferocious tiger claw attacks, the opponent could only retreat step by step. However, neither side used their third spirit ring, which was the final trump card. No one would easily use it unless absolutely necessary. Unlike Dai Mubai's ease, Xiao Wu encountered some trouble. Her opponent was also a goat spirit master. Besides the ramming skill, this goat spirit master's second spirit skill was the rare trample. Although the trample's range was small, each time Xiao Wu was about to get close, he would activate his trample skill, not giving Xiao Wu a chance to approach. Additionally, after being stunned by his trample, Xiao Wu had to face his ramming attack, nearly getting injured several times. She dared not advance recklessly. Her teleportation skill was countered by a second spirit ring skill. Although this skill only restricted her for 1 second, that 1 second made Xiao Wu quite helpless. Furthermore, her opponent's spirit power was higher than hers, making it difficult to gain an advantage. Zhu Zhuqing's speed was incredibly fast. With the assistance of Ning Rongrong's 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda, she reached the auxiliary spirit master in a few flashes. At this moment, the 2 monkey spirit masters were still some distance away from her. The first spirit ring skill, Nether Thrust, was activated. With the help of her spirit skill, Zhu Zhuqing's speed increased even further, and her sharp claws extended, aiming at the opponent's throat. As long as she could control her opponent and nullify his auxiliary abilities, her goal would be achieved. Blue-silver grass surged wildly, wrapping towards the seductive girl. Facing Tang San's attack, the seductive girl didn't dare to be careless. As the core members of their teams, they finally clashed. Her second spirit ring lit up, and 2 heads lifted simultaneously. This time, instead of shooting spider silk from her hands, her entire body emitted spider silk, forming a barrier that blocked the blue-silver grass. The spider silk and blue-silver grass clashed, producing hissing sounds, the sound of toxins battling. With a spider martial spirit, how could her spirit skills not contain venom? The spider silk seemed to develop similarly to Tang San's blue-silver grass. It was resilient, and so was the blue-silver grass. They were in a stalemate in the air, unable to overcome each other, relying on their toxins to attack. In this regard, the blue-silver grass, now infused with the venom of the man-faced demon spider, had the upper hand. The corrosive toxin continuously eroded the spider silk. Although the seductive girl was shocked, she had achieved her goal. If she could help the berserk rhinoceros break free, they would still have the upper hand in this battle. At this moment, a thick flame as thick as an arm shot through the gap in the blue-silver grass, striking the spider web woven by the seductive girl. The purple-red flame not only tore a hole in the web, but also spread rapidly, supported by Ma Hongjuan's timely assistance. Tang San silently praised and flicked his wrist, sending another green light through the hole in the web, targeting the seductive girl. If he could control this control-type spirit master, the outcome of the battle would be decided. The seductive girl barely dodged Ma Hongjuan's Phoenix Fire line, which, under his Phoenix Ascension state, had immense attack power and extreme heat. The most terrifying part was that the Phoenix Fire line, under Ma Hongjuan's control, acted like a long flaming whip, repeatedly breaking through her spider web. Seeing Tang San's attack closing in, the seductive girl could no longer assist the berserk rhinoceros on the ground. She flipped her body, dodging the spider web binding from Tang San. The spider web opened in mid-air, with a 5-meter diameter, making it difficult to escape. At this moment, the seductive girl's third spirit ring finally lit up. 8 strands of hair extended from the sides of her head, turning into 8 2-meter-long whips under a pink glow. The whip struck Tang San's spider web, causing a brief pause. Remarkably, the pink whips didn't stick to the web, and she rolled her body to escape its range. With a loud thud, the auxiliary spirit master had no chance against the agility attack type Zhu Zhuqing. Just as control type counters agility attack counters auxiliary types. Zhu Zhuqing struck the spirit master on the neck, knocking him unconscious. However, just before Zhu Zhuqing's attack, the auxiliary spirit master activated his third spirit skill. The Rui silver plate emitted a strange silver wave, which then split into 6 streams and infused into the other 6 members of the Berserk team. At this moment, the seductive girl escaped from Tang San's spider web binding. The silver light entered the bodies of the 6 Berserk team members, causing them to shudder simultaneously. Their eyes turned red, and their bodies swelled. Even the Berserk rhinoceros on the ground jumped up, using its waist strength to break free from the web. Dai Mubai, who had the upper hand, saw his opponent become frenzied after the silver light infusion. The opponent's spirit power surged, his eyes turned red, and he forced Dai Mubai back, charging madly. Xiao Wu's situation was worse than Dai Mubai's. The silver light infusion not only increased the spirit power of the goat spirit master she faced, but also made him crazier. The range of his trample skill expanded, and the powerful shock stunned Xiao Wu, leaving her unable to dodge his ram attack. At the critical moment, team cooperation came into play. A strand of blue-silver grass wrapped around Xiao Wu's waist, pulling her away from the attack. The 2 monkey spirit masters' speed increased, catching up to Zhu Zhuqing. The seductive girl's 8 pink hair whips extended, 4 of them hooking onto the spider web, binding the Berserk rhinoceros, desperately pulling. With the rhinoceros's full effort, the web was gradually pulled off, leaving web-like wounds but freeing him. With his addition to the team, the battle's tide would change. The remaining 4 whips attacked Tang San. At this moment, Tang San felt drained. After releasing 2 spider web bindings, he had consumed 2/3 of his spirit power. Facing the frenzied attack, the blue-silver grass couldn't stop it. He had to use Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to retreat quickly. Fortunately, Ma Hongjuan's Phoenix Fire Line provided cover, repelling the attack. Among the 7 Berserk team members, except for the unconscious auxiliary spirit master, most fell into a special state, with only the Spider-Girl spirit master remaining conscious. Although the Phoenix Evil Fire was her nemesis, she used the Berserk Rhinoceros as a shield. Ma Hongjuan's Phoenix Fire Line caused the rhinoceros to roar in pain, but couldn't harm him enough, and Tang San's spider web binding was countered by the evil fire. With their combined effort, the spider web was finally broken. The advantageous situation was reversed by the auxiliary spirit master's skill. The 1,000-year spirit ring skill was indeed extraordinary. The Shrek 7 Devils didn't know that the Berserk team got its name from their current state. The auxiliary spirit master's 3rd spirit ring skill came from a frenzy demon lizard. Once used, it could keep their side in a frenzy for 3 minutes. In the frenzy state, they would lose the sensation of pain and, if their mental power wasn't strong enough, their consciousness. In return, all attributes would increase by 15%. The auxiliary skills would also be fixed for 1 minute. Even though the auxiliary spirit master was unconscious, the frenzy and auxiliary effects would last for a minute. This allowed them to turn the tide instantly. Of course, the frenzy skill had its flaws. It lasted only 3 minutes. After that, those affected would be unable to use or gather spirit power for an hour. If they couldn't defeat their opponents during the frenzy, they would die. This life-risking spirit skill could indeed turn the tide at a critical moment. In a critical moment, Tang San demonstrated the essential role of a control spirit master and the soul of the team. He abandoned the idea of a direct frontal attack. His blue-silver grass swiftly extended, following Xiao Wu. It quickly pulled back Zhu Zhuqing, who was surrounded by 2 monkey spirit masters, and also brought back Dai Mubai, who had just been forced to retreat by the opponent. Within a short time, he gathered his 7 teammates quickly in one spot. Control spirit masters in battle not only have to control the opponent, but also their own teammates. Everything Tang San did showed his deep understanding of this principle. Unexpectedly, the 6 members of the Guangzhou team, who had burst forth with combat power, did not attack. Following a sharp whistle from the seductive woman, they all gathered around her and stopped. You should admit defeat. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what damage we will cause next, said the seductive woman. Her voice was pleasant, but carried a tone of helplessness. The members of Kwang Zhan team by her side were breathing heavily, their surging spirit power forming a tremendous pressure. Dai Mubai coldly shouted, admit defeat? Dream on. Defeat us if you can. The seductive spider spirit master scoffed, if not for the presence of the 7 treasure glazed tile spirit master, do you think I would waste words with you? Since that's the case, I can only apologize for the damage we will cause next. A sharp whistle echoed from her mouth again. The frenzy would only last for 3 minutes. She dared not delay any longer. Kwang Zhan team had already won 7 consecutive victories, and the benefits of continuing this streak were immeasurable. Even with a 7 treasure glazed tile spirit master on the opposing team, they would not give up. In previous team battles, Kwang Zhan team's repeated victories over strong opponents relied on this frenzied support skill. Most of the team members lost their senses, leading to frequent injuries and even fatalities among opponents. As the commander, Tang San made a decisive decision: everyone, ascend. The Shrek 7 monsters simultaneously produced a peculiar-looking sausage. As Kwang Zhan team swiftly approached, the 7 members felt a lightness in their bodies. With wings formed by light and shadow appearing behind them, they rose into the air, ascending to a height of 20 meters. The sudden disappearance of their opponents left Kwang Zhan team's members at a loss. As the only conscious one, the Spider Spirit Master was shocked. She never imagined that all her opponents would possess the ability to fly. In the air, each of the Shrek 7 monsters consumed a restorative sausage, recovering their strength and spirit power. Tang San ignored the opponents below. Kwang Zhan team had no flying spirit masters and were not adept at long-range attacks. Even the Spider Spirit Master couldn't control opponents more than 20 meters away, like Tang San's blue-silver grass. Ishao San, what now? The mushroom sausage only lets us fly for a minute. Oscar can only fly for half a minute, Dai Mubai said, though unafraid. He felt powerless seeing the opponent's significantly increased strength. Tang San remained calm and said, if I'm not mistaken, their sudden strength increase should be due to a 1,000-year spirit skill released by the support spirit master before he passed out. It instantly boosted their power. But have you noticed? Besides the Spider Spirit Master, the others have lost their senses. According to what our teacher summarized about support spirit master abilities, if I'm not wrong, their current state won't last long. Just like the mushroom sausage Oscar provided. Moreover, their current state must have a strong backlash once it ends. Otherwise, that support spirit master's spirit would be as formidable as Rongrong's 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda. Ma Hongjun asked, but what if they haven't reverted when we descend? Tang San said seriously, then we have to take a gamble. Victory is what we desire, but everyone's safety is more important. With Kwang Zhan team's current state, we can't contend with them. Oscar, how many more mushroom sausages can you make? Oscar handed Tang San a sausage. My spirit power is almost exhausted. After giving one to Boss Dai in the 2-on-2 fight, we each had one. This is the 9th one. I can only make one more. Tang San said, good, make one for me. Later, when your flight ability ends, everyone descend. Ishao San, let me do it. Dai Mubai understood Tang San's plan to bet on the opponent's frenzy state ending first, also betting on the backlash after the frenzy state ended. Tang San said, no, I'll do it. Everyone's spirit power is heavily consumed. In melee combat, you're not as skilled as I am. Besides, I have life-saving methods. Even if their frenzy lasts longer than I expected, I can escape. Since I'm commanding, listen to me. 1 minute was very short, and it was almost over. The Kwang Zhan team members below showed no sign of ending their frenzy state. After a brief shock, the Spider Spirit Master calmed down. As a fellow Control Spirit Master, she had rich combat experience. If only one or two of the Shrek 7 monsters flew up, she could understand it as the presence of flying spirit masters. But with all 7 flying, it had to be due to a skill. Tang San was gambling, and so was she, hoping their flight duration was shorter than her team's frenzy duration. After Oscar handed Tang San the 10th mushroom sausage, he immediately flew down. His spirit power was almost depleted, his face pale, and he felt internally hollow. In such moments, the previous 3 months of grueling training showed their value. Despite the severe discomfort, he remained conscious and seemed no different from usual. The side effects of spirit power overuse were minimal. Half a minute later, all the Shrek 7 monsters except Tang San flew down from the arena. Seeing them descend, especially when the 7 treasure glazed tile spirit master left the battlefield, the spider spirit master sighed in relief. But when she saw Tang San still in the air after the others left, her expression changed. Tang San had already consumed the 2nd mushroom sausage. "You're not leaving the battlefield?" The spider spirit master smiled seductively, looking up at Tang San. Tang San smiled calmly. Even if I'm alone, who can say we won't be the final victors?" The audience was in an uproar. When the Shrek 7 monsters took to the sky, the audience was astounded. Seeing the stalemate, cheers and curses erupted. Cheers were for the unique flying scene, and curses were for the lack of direct combat, mostly aimed at Tang San floating in the air. Tang San paid no attention to the audience's reactions. He focused all his energy on observing the Quang team. Purple light flickered in his eyes as he activated his purple demon eye technique. When Dai Mubai and the others left the battle platform, Tang San clearly saw the Quang team members below tremble, their momentum significantly dropping, and their spirit power fluctuations becoming less intense. Although he didn't know the exact reasons, specifically that the first 2 additional states on the Quang team members had disappeared, he took this as a sign that their frenzy was about to end, which greatly boosted his confidence in his judgment. The Quang team members, having lost their senses, continued to roar below. The spider spirit master kept her gaze fixed on Tang San. Both sides were waiting for the other to show signs of weakness. Ultimately, it was Tang San who had the last laugh. Shortly after he consumed the 3rd mushroom sausage and was about to give up, the Quang team members collectively trembled. Apart from the spider spirit master, the frenzy gradually left the eyes of the other 5 members, their expressions turning blank, and their eyes becoming clear. Their spirit power fluctuations also decreased sharply. Tang San was delighted but remained cautious. He didn't want to be fooled into making a mistake. The spider spirit master's expression changed. Although her body was also trembling, it was not as severe as her companions, but her spirit power had still dropped significantly, making her appear much weaker. The high-speed flying effect provided by the mushroom sausage finally ended. Tang San slowly descended to the ground. Thanks to Oscar's restorative sausage, his physical strength had returned to peak condition, and his spirit power had recovered to more than 40% of its previous level. "As I expected, you can't maintain your flight," said the spider spirit master calmly. She didn't look at her pale-faced companions who were suffering from the pain of spirit power depletion, but kept her eyes on Tang San, seeming to regain her sharpness. Tang San smiled calmly. "Isn't it the same for you? That state just now couldn't last forever. If I'm not mistaken, even if your support spirit master hadn't fainted, such a skill could only be used once, right?"